This happened in late 2022. I thought it was going to be a normal, maybe even fun first date. We matched on a dating app, talked for about 2 weeks, and things felt casual. Her name was Madison. Yeah, that kind of name. The type you don't forget. We both loved horror movies, so when Smile hit theaters, we figured it'd be the perfect first date. Late night showing, Thursday, 10:15 p.m. at this small, older theater on the edge of town. I offered to drive. Picked her up around 9:30. She was quiet at first, but opened up when we started talking about the horror movies we grew up on. By the time we pulled into the nearly empty parking lot, we were laughing. I even joked, "This theater looks like it should be in a horror movie." Flickering neon lights, no one in the lobby, just one guy behind the concession stand. I asked if the theater would be full. He laughed. "You guys are the only ones who bought tickets for that show." At first, I thought it was awesome. No crowd, no noise, just me, Madison, and the movie. We went into Theater 6, chose seats dead center 4 rows from the back. It was freezing in there. Madison pointed it out immediately. I handed her my hoodie, and we joked about how creepy it was to be the only ones in the whole room. Things felt good. I was thinking this might be one of those rare first dates that actually turns into something. Then, just as the last trailer ended and the lights dimmed, I saw movement in the corner of my eye. Someone walked in. No hesitation, no phone light, no looking around. He walked straight up the steps and sat directly behind us. There were at least 100 empty seats, but he picked the one right behind me. Madison turned slightly, then looked at me with that seriously kind of face. I whispered, "Figures," and I tried to ignore it, but almost instantly I felt it. That burning sensation, like someone's eyes were locked on the back of my head. After a couple minutes, I glanced back. He wasn't watching the screen. He was staring at us. No flinch, no embarrassment, just leaning forward a bit, eyes locked, not glazed over, not distracted, focused. I whispered, "He's staring." Madison nodded slowly. "I know." We tried to watch the movie, but that feeling never left. It wasn't just uncomfortable, it was wrong. Like he wasn't watching us, he was waiting. About 20 minutes in, I leaned forward a bit and looked back again. Same thing, still staring. Middle-aged, maybe late 40s, pale, clean-shaven, wearing a dark gray hoodie. His face felt empty, not spaced out, just gone. I whispered to Madison, "This guy is really creeping me out." She looked scared now. "Should we move?" We thought about it, but we were already in the best seats. Moving might make it worse or even provoke him. Then I felt it. Not imagined, not paranoia. Breath. Right behind me. A slow, quiet exhale. I turned fast. He was leaning forward, inches from the back of my seat. I stared at him. "Dude, can you not?" Nothing. He just slowly leaned back. I looked at Madison. "We're moving." We got up and walked down to the front corner. Bad angle, terrible seats. Didn't matter. I couldn't focus, kept glancing back. Every time, he was still there, still staring. Then, footsteps. He was coming down the steps. Madison grabbed my arm. We didn't move. The steps stopped a few rows up. I didn't turn around. Didn't want to know. Then, after what felt like forever, he walked back up. I whispered, "We need to leave." She nodded. We grabbed our stuff and left the theater quietly. Walking through the hallway towards the lobby, I looked back through the small window in the theater door. He was standing now, in the aisle, not watching the screen, still staring. We told the guy at the front someone in Theater 6 was acting really weird. His face changed immediately. He said, "Again?" "What do you mean, again?" He hesitated, then told us the man had been showing up randomly for a month. Always late shows, never buys anything, never talks. We weren't the first to complain. I asked, "Why hasn't anyone kicked him out?" He looked uncomfortable. "Management says, unless he does something illegal, we can't." Madison was near tears. She asked if someone could walk us to the car. One of the janitors did. The man didn't follow us, at least not that we saw, but the whole ride back, I couldn't shake the feeling. What if he wrote down my license plate? What if he followed us from a distance? What if he saw where Madison lived when I dropped her off? For weeks, I was paranoid, and my friend who's a cop told me that was total BS. The theater had every right to kick someone out. I never went back to that theater. Madison and I talked a few more times, but we never saw each other again. Maybe we were both too shaken. And to this day, there are still no reviews about him, no stories, no warnings. Just one question that keeps me up sometimes. How many other people sat through a movie with that man behind them and didn't make it to the end?
I moved into my grandparents' house back in 2015 when I was 9. They built it in the early 90s, way out on the edge of a small southern town. 5 acres of woods and fields with a muddy river running behind the property. Peaceful, or at least it looked that way. Our only neighbors lived on this weird, sagging piece of land right next to us. The house looked like it was being swallowed by the ground. Crooked walls, weird angles, and add-ons that made no sense, like someone just stapled on rooms over the years. The siding always looked wet, even when it hadn't rained for days. Their yard was a disaster. Vines, trash, broken fountains, and those creepy headless gnomes. Grocery bags stuck in the trees, and this rusty old lawnmower that looked like it quit halfway through a job and no one ever touched it again. The place gave me the creeps. Living there were 2 old sisters, Mabel and Ruth, and 3 kids. One of them, Brandon, was my age and in my class at school. I never liked him. He was weird. He'd just show up at my house without warning. No knock, no text. I'd be gaming, look up, and boom, he's just standing in the doorway. One time, I saw him doing cannonballs in our pool without even asking. Another time, he walked straight into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and started eating leftover pizza with his hands like it was totally normal. He was obsessed with anime, like really obsessed. He'd say stuff in Japanese and get mad if I didn't laugh. He'd get this glazed look sometimes, like he was imagining something violent. One day, he chased me with garden shears, laughing like it was a joke. Another time, he almost pushed me off the wooden bridge behind our properties. Said he was kidding, but the way he smiled after? Nah, he meant that. The other 2 kids were twin girls, Emma and Chloe. They were around my little sister's age. Quiet, dirty clothes, barely spoke, and when they did, their words were all jumbled, like toddlers, even though they were 7. It was obvious nobody at home was helping them. Their dad was in and out of jail, and then there was their mom, Marlene. The first time I saw Marlene, she was trying to hook up a garden hose near our side yard. She was tall, heavy-set, with huge glasses straight out of the 80s and big curly black hair. But she stood out. Clean clothes, styled hair. She smiled like she'd been waiting for me. She asked me to help her with the faucet, said it was stuck. I turned it, and it moved no problem. She clapped, said I was strong, said I was special. Then she asked me if I knew I had a third eye. I blinked. What? She grinned and said, we all have one. Not physical, a spiritual eye. It helps you see the truth. Before I could say anything, she turned and told me to follow her. So I did. Inside their house, it hit me like a punch to the face. The smell was awful. Mold, rot, something worse. Trash everywhere. Ripped garbage bags, rotting food, diapers behind the couch. I tried to back out, but Marlene grabbed my wrist and pulled me upstairs. Her bedroom was different. Clean. Pink wallpaper, porcelain dolls, lace curtains. It smelled like perfume and rose water. She had me sit on this little padded stool while she opened a drawer and pulled out a silver tray, a black candle, a crystal, and a big leather book. Right on the cover, a pentagram. My stomach twisted. My parents are Catholic. I knew what that meant. Then I saw the symbol again, on the mirror, on her jewelry box, even carved into the wood under the rug. That's when I stood up, sorry, my mom needs me, and ran. In 2020, Ruth had a heart attack and died in the living room, right in front of the kids. I went to the funeral. It was held at this worn-down Baptist church at the edge of town. The whole family looked numb, except for one woman I didn't recognize. She sat near the front, sobbing loud enough to echo off the walls. No one acknowledged her. Later, that same year, Brandon disappeared. The story was he tried to hurt one of the twins. They sent him to a psychiatric facility. I never heard the full details, but that night my parents sat my sister and I down and told us never to go near that house again. Their faces were pale and serious. That's when all the weird stuff started to make sense. Eventually, the rest of the family moved away, left Mabel behind, old and alone in that collapsing house. She passed in 2021, still in that house. Her estate went up for auction. A few months later, my old elementary school teacher, Mrs. Carter, and her husband bought it. They tore down most of the structure, but kept the original 1920 section, the same part where Marlene's room used to be. Mrs. Carter invited us over to see the remodel. The place was beautiful. Open floor plan, new paint, everything fresh. But when she took us upstairs, I felt it, that heaviness. Even though the floor was new, carpeted, I knew the pentagram was still there, like the wood remembered. I told her I had a headache and left. Then, in 2023, she asked me to dog sit while they went out of town. I said yes, easy money, right? First 4 nights, nothing weird. I'd feed their dogs, Muffin and Henry, play with them, lock up, and go. But on the last night, right as I was about to leave, Henry started barking at the stairs. He just froze there, growling. Muffin whimpered and backed up. I looked, saw nothing. Then, thump from upstairs. Then another thump, louder. I didn't stay to find out. I grabbed my stuff, ran to the door, and slammed it behind me. The whole way home, I felt something right behind me. Now, it's mid-2025. We hadn't heard anything about that family in years, until recently. Someone from school told me they saw Marlene at a farmer's market outside town. Said she started some kind of spiritual group, calls herself a truth seer. They live out in a mobile home community deep in the woods. Flyers are starting to show up around town. I don't trust her. Not one bit. She neglected her kids, left her mom to die in that house, and I know she brought something into it, something that stayed. Sometimes I still see her and Brandon in my dreams, standing at the foot of my bed, just watching. And every time I pass that house, even now, I get chills.
The paint, the furniture, all the good stuff, yeah, that's just surface level. That place remembers, and I don't think it ever let go of what happened there. My name's Keegan, and I live in Michigan with my parents. Back in high school, things were going pretty smooth. I met a lot of new people, made a few close friends, and I'd hang out at the local community center, just shooting hoops, lifting weights, the usual. There was this one kid, Clayton. He was a grade below me, still in junior high when we first started hanging out. We got along pretty well. My dad even took us to a Detroit Pistons game once, his first ever. Dude was obsessed with basketball. But things changed. The more I got busy, driver's ed, side jobs, normal life, Clayton got weird. He'd get mad when I told him I couldn't hang out. Real mad, like over the top angry. The type that made you question if something was seriously off. One day I told him I was busy cleaning my place. Didn't check my phone for a while, and when I did, I saw he had removed me on Snapchat. Just like that. So I hit him up on Messenger, asked what was up. He straight up accused me of lying to avoid him. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. He had started to act clingy, even obsessive. I'd sometimes lie just to get some peace. Then something happened that made my skin crawl. One night, just after sunset, he showed up at my apartment, unannounced. He didn't say a word, just stared, blank, cold, like he was looking through me. Then he turned and walked off. I didn't sleep that night. Something about the way he'd looked at me felt off. The next day, I turned off my Snap map. I didn't want him tracking me again. A few weeks later, I got a message from a guy I barely talked to, Nick. He knew Clayton and even dated Clayton's ex. What he told me made my heart drop. Clayton had done things, dark things. Nick told me he had assaulted his ex, even held a knife to her throat. At that moment, I knew. This dude wasn't just angry, he was dangerous. I blocked him on everything, no hesitation. Then came the texts from Instagram. Dozens of them, asking why I removed him. I told him I just needed space. A lie, obviously. I just wanted him gone. Later that week, my parents were out of town and I was alone at the apartment. I heard a knock at the door. Looked through the peephole. No one. I opened the door a crack. Empty hallway. Weird, but whatever. Maybe a prank. But then, I looked out the window towards the streetlight. The bulb had burned out, but in the dark, I saw movement. A figure. Tall. Still. Clayton. I opened the window and yelled for him to leave. He didn't move, just stared again, same way as before. Then he lifted his hand. There was something in it. A knife. I backed away, told him I was calling the cops. He bolted before they got there. I gave the best description I could. Never heard anything since. I don't know where he went, but I do know this. If I had let him in, I might not be here telling you this.